All right. Good morning. We are live. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on when and where you are watching this Facebook Live. This is the voice and the face of Dr. Tolu Olabintan, and I'm excited to have another topic today to help improve our viewers' quality and quantity of life, because we believe that how you live is just as important as how well you live. So I'm excited today to have the one, the only Dr. Safiyya Shabazz, who's going to be having the discussion with us today on the topic, Doc, I want to try intermittent fasting. Please help me. Doc, thank you so much for coming. How are you doing this morning?
Thanks for the invitation. I'm doing great.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. Now, for those of you who are watching, hashtag live, and those of you who are watching replay, hashtag replay. And I have a favor to ask. Please follow us, like us, subscribe to our page, YouTube, and on Facebook, and share it with those who will find this very useful. All right, Doc. I'm gonna. I mean, I know who you are. I like who you are. But please, for those who are watching, who are you and what do you do?
I am a board certified family physician. I'm based here in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. I have a direct primary care hybrid practice that I have established back in 2010. And in the last year, we have started to change the way we serve our patients and going direct to consumer like the drug ads, where we're contracting directly with our patients instead of the insurance company so that we can provide amazing primary care services.
Awesome, awesome. Thank you for what you do. I love that you're a primary care doctor as well. Now, why do you do what you do? Is there a story? Like why do you do what you do?
It's interesting because when I'm sorry for the way the sun just broke through the clouds
Nice.
here.
It's good night. Good night.
Getting my vitamin D and near infrared radiation. But I when I first set out to be a physician, I actually was a chemical engineer before I decided to attend medical school. And being the logical person that I am, I considered a couple of different specialties, but I landed on primary care, family medicine, because it just made more sense to me. My goal is to help people avoid getting medical problems. I thought about being a cardiologist because, we learn about fluid mechanics and thermal, all of those type of things in engineering. And I thought it seemed similar, but I don't want people to need a cardiologist if they can help it. And so it between that and just loving a lot of different aspects of medicine and not wanting to narrow down, I decided that primary care was the best way for me to have the greatest impact on people's health and life. So
I
that's
love it.
that's what I
And I
do.
echo those sentiments. Yay, family medicine. All right, let's get right to it, Doc. What is intermittent fasting? Someone's watching. Like, what does that mean?
So intermittent fasting is I'm going to lower the shade a little because now it's really coming it's just strong. You won't be able to see me at all. But intermittent fasting is a pattern of eating where you limit your intake to a window of time. There are a number of different ways of doing it that are described in the medical literature, but a way that I encourage people to consider is to have a window of anywhere from as small as there are people who have a window of as small as 2 hours to as long as 12 hours where they take in calories during the day rather than continuously grazing through the day. And there's alternate day feeding where people eat every other day. There's periodic intermittent fasting where you might have a regular diet most days and then take a couple of days where you fast for a couple of days straight, as long as 3 days straight. So there are a number of different ways of doing it, but pretty much all of these ways of narrowing when you take in food, calories, nutrients to a specific window of time have been associated with some pretty amazing health benefits, and it's free. So I feel like more people should know about it.
Okay, so let's get right into it. What is it useful for? Like, what are the health benefits, and why should someone contemplate doing this?
Well, there have been, I think one of the biggest things is that It's the closest thing to a fountain of youth that we have. So, all of the markers for aging can be improved by following this pattern of eating. And a lot of inflammatory conditions can be improved. Of course, metabolic conditions like diabetes, even neurodegenerative diseases like Parkinson's or Alzheimer's. There are just so many health benefits, and really the most reproducible methods have been associated with caloric restriction and intermittent fasting. And caloric restriction can be difficult for a lot of people to like just have a little bit and restrain yourself. So it's pretty exciting that the literature is showing that there's actually even more benefits, not just to eating just a little bit and then having to make yourself stop, but to even if you had the same amount of total intake in a day, but you just allow your body a 10-hour, 12-hour period of fasting, it can actually provide the same, if not greater, benefits for your health.
Okay, so I know you mentioned that the different types. You mentioned 2 hours where people are eating for 2 hours and not eating for the other 22, and
Right.
then some the 12
That's
and
that's pretty restrictive. Like that's a
I know
tradition in my religious community, but I know most people, they might follow a 16 and 8. So like
16 days.
fast for 16
Okay.
hours, eat for 8 hours.
Okay. Now, and I know the different types, but of course, these are medical suggestions. We encourage patients to kind of make an appointment with their primary care doctors to discuss what's best for them. But is there a good way to start? Like, how do you start? Like, okay, I want to try intermittent fasting. What would you say are a few tips to starting this?
Well, they actually, there was a review article published in the New England Journal of Medicine back in December of 2019, and they proposed a schedule of like how someone could start to incorporate this into their life. And if I recall correctly, it was starting with a 12-hour window, 5 days a week, where, if you think about it, that's all day. You could say, I am going to eat between 8 in the morning and 8 in the evening, and I'm not going to eat anything or drink any calories between 8 in the evening and 8 in the morning. That should be pretty doable for most people.
Right.
And, just gradually marching back from there to 10 hours. So, okay, I'm going to start my daily eating at 10 a.m. and, be all done for the day at 8 p.m. and then gradually building on from there.
Okay. Now, is someone who's watching saying, "Well, that sounds good. I like the idea of it. I like that it has medical benefits. Like it can help reverse some chronic conditions. It can help with metabolic issues too, and it can help also with weight loss. But I have a busy lifestyle, so I got to be in work. I work. I got to do this. I got to do that. I got to pick up the kids. Like, what would you say to someone who's concerned that how do I maintain this lifestyle, this intermittent lifestyle, with my schedule?"
Well, you could adjust it to the schedule that you have. So, if you feel that your busiest time of day, is earlier in the day, or you could adjust it to that. So for instance, some people, they aren't getting home until 6 o'clock, and so maybe for them, I think it's better to not eat too close to bedtime, but maybe for them to say, well, I don't even have a chance to start preparing a meal until 6 o'clock when I get home.
Right.
You can adjust that window to fit your schedule. And I think in general, with any nutrition plan, doing some amount of planning ahead can be really, really helpful. To have things laid out, what you're going to have to, nourish your body when you are not fasting is always a good idea. I think many of the studies that show people skipping meals can have a negative impact on their weight probably have some correlation to the fact that if you allow yourself to get really, really hungry and you don't really have a plan, you might start eating non-nutritive foods because you didn't really plan ahead, and just anything will do, and it doesn't really nourish your body. It adds extra calories without adding nourishment to your body. So some amount of planning But I think in general, there are some things that can mimic some of the benefits of fasting in terms of the type of nutrients. I'm not a keto fan per se, but I do think most people probably consume way too many carbs. And that's one of the things that they could start to think about when they're planning their meals to make it really mostly lean protein and non-starchy vegetables. That's most of your meals should be centered around that. Of course, fruits are good too, but some people start to make that into their candy, where it's a little bit overboard. But lots of fresh things that grow from the ground and lean protein and the healthy types of fats. Not over consuming, you know, bacon and butter and things like that, but healthy fats, proteins, and non-starchy vegetables.
I love that you mentioned the food groups, because I want to encourage that this is not, or advocate that this is not a, you just skip meals from here to here, but you eat whatever is
Right.
whatever, right? There's a strategy to it. Otherwise, you find out you're slowing your metabolism down and you're actually making things worse. So there's a way to it. So eating the lean proteins, whole grain foods, your non-starchy vegetables, your fruits, but of
And
course,
it's interesting though when you mentioned about slowing down the metabolism, because that is something that can be a detriment when someone's trying to lose weight. But if your goal is to live longer, that actually is like part of how it works to slow your metabolism down. I have an interesting story about that. I've long been interested in intermittent fasting and caloric restriction and the effects on lifespan. But a number of years ago, I was doing a project with my daughter about the migration of the monarch butterfly. And I learned a little something about the monarch butterfly and how they are able to migrate, all the way to parts of Mexico and make it back. And there are four generations of monarch butterfly every year. The typical lifespan of a monarch butterfly is about 2 to 6 weeks. But this generation that makes this 5,000-mile migration can live 9 months. And part of how it does it is that as the weather changes and there's less availability of nutrients and nectar, it begins to slow its metabolism down, and the lifespan, increases it by orders of magnitude, just in that one example of this amazing insect, the monarch butterfly. So, yes, slowing down the metabolism can interfere with someone whose primary goal is to lose weight. But I think my primary goal is to improve my health and live longer. And there actually is sort of like miles on a car. There's actually some benefit to slowing it down.
I like that perspective. Thank you for sharing. Now, I have someone who has this question. Hi, Dr. Mitra. She says, does coffee in the morning break the fast, like black coffee?
Black coffee without cream and sugar? No.
She said creamer too, but I said,
Creamer.
yeah.
It's probably if you have like very few calories, like under 100 or 50, it might not really have that much of an effect, but it's not fasting if it's calories. Like whole burgers aren't passing through into your blood vessels. It's broken down into the nutrients. So if you're taking in some amount of nutrient for your body and its hormones and sensors to detect, then it kind of is breaking the fast.
So the black coffee is
not breaking it. That should be fine.
Okay. All right. So black coffee, you're good. Creamer, yeah,
maybe a little teeny
tiny. All right. Now that's a very good segue to my next question, which is more on fluids. All right. So what are your? She says, fine. Black coffee it is. Good job. All right. So what are your suggestions as far as fluid intake? Fluids, okay, outside the fast window.
No, I think it's great to hydrate. I mean, this is different from a religious fast where, for Muslims, for instance, during Ramadan or other fasts, we're not taking in anything. I've heard there are some parts of the world where people don't even swallow their own saliva. This is not that. This is
Wait, so you keep spitting? You keep spitting?
I mean, this is what I hear. I don't know this to be a fact. This is what someone who's not a Muslim told me. So I imagine that there are different ways that people, practice their faith. I think it's interesting that I'm pretty sure that all religious faiths have some type of fasting tradition. And that may have morphed into slightly different variations, but I do think it's interesting that I'm pretty much most of the religions that I'm aware of have some type of fasting tradition. And, I believe this probably not just a spiritual benefit, but an actual physical benefit to it too. And, that's what we're talking about today.
Right. So hydration is okay.
I think hydration is a good thing and can help to, they say most of the time people think they're hungry, they're actually thirsty.
Yes, right.
So, lots of hydration, wet your whistle, and that may be able to help keep you going throughout the day.
Yes. Now let's talk safety. Are there, generally speaking, of course, are there people who this may not be a safe option for, or how do we? Maybe the better way to word the question is, how do we make this safe for most
Right.
people? What do you
Well, as you said in the beginning of the show, we are physicians, but we're not necessarily the physicians of everyone listening. So people should consult with their own healthcare professional. And I say that with a little bit of an asterisk because there are lots of physicians who really don't know that there are potential benefits. I remember giving a presentation in residency about this very same topic. And I mean, the dietitian or nutritionist just about fell out on the floor about how this was just a terrible idea. And now, as the science has evolved, I think there's more of an open-mindedness about it as an option for people. But I think that for the most part, the main people that really need to be careful are people who are taking medications that need to be timed according to the meals, particularly people who may have diabetes. If you're on certain types of diabetes medicines that raise the insulin level, then you have to really work with your physician or other healthcare professional to make the necessary adjustments. That doesn't mean that people who have diabetes cannot do it. In fact, it may help improve insulin sensitivity. And for some people, depending on how many years you've had the condition or the type of diabetes, well, I wouldn't suggest a type 1 do this, but for most people with type 2 diabetes, it probably could be beneficial, but you would really need to work with your healthcare team to make adjustments in medications if you're on medications so that you don't have issues with low blood sugars or even with metformin, if you're taking that and fasting, there are some concerns with that. So yes, it can be done if you're taking medications or you're aware of certain health conditions. And I
Right.
think just in general, being overly dramatic or like aggressive in your start, like you don't go from couch potato to marathon. you
Right.
know they have programs, this whole couch to 5K, like it's a conditioning
Yes. Yes.
program that you do. And so I would say, be gradual in your approach, should work for most people. And if you have certain health conditions or on certain medications that can be affected by the timing of your meals, then definitely consult with your healthcare team.
Awesome, awesome, and I like it. That's true, Mitra. Small changes done consistently yield maximal results in time. So, thank you so much for answering all these questions. You make intermittent fasting sound like something that is doable, something that one can work. From where you are at to where I guess you want to go. It can
Hmm.
help with reducing medications potentially. It
Right.
can help with weight loss. It can help with longevity, so extending life. And so these are all things we love and things we want
Yeah.
as
I want
well.
to live longer.
Shoot. to see the kids and the grandkids and enjoy the rewards of our labor. So yes, definitely, definitely. Thank you so much for coming, Doc. I have people who are watching who are like, wow, I like this doctor. I'm in the Pennsylvania area. I would like to have her come speak at my event. Doc, where can people find you?
Well, people can find me on Facebook, Dr. Safiyya Shabazz. Note the spelling here. on my website at fountainmedonline.com. I am on Instagram at Dr. Safiyya, Dr. Safiyya. Is that all of the places? And Fountain Med.
Well, we got you. At the end of this live, we're going to put all that information in the comment section so people can reach out to you and connect with you as well. Thank you, Doc, for coming. This was
Thank
good.
you. And thanks for all that you're doing
I
for
appreciate you.
the community,
Thank you.
and
Thank you.
sharing
Thank
this information.
Thank you. All right. Thank you all for watching. Remember, caring is sharing. So please forward this, share this. And I'm going to ask one more time, please like us on Facebook, follow us on Facebook, follow us and subscribe to our YouTube channel. And if you or anyone you know is looking for an awesome, a passionate, and the thorough family physician who encourages intermittent fasting as well, I am she. Have a good one. Thank you, Doc.
Thank you.